This is the Singer Model 338. Singer manufactured this machine during 1964 and 1965. The color is commonly called jade green or green blue. This machine is for straight, zigzag, and ornamental stitching. It is a flatbed aluminum machine. It's made from cast aluminum. This particular model was the 338/3. It has a built-in SNK4 double insulated motor, and it has a light which is called a hinged light. The frame hinges down here and you can remove or replace the bulb. I turn the bulb on, you see it a little better there. There was other models that used treadle and a double purpose, that you could switch it from electric motor to treadle. It had a special hand wheel. It has a horizontal oscillating hook. So the hook is not rotary. It oscillates back and forth instead of just going around. It has a stationary bobbin case. You don't pull the bobbin case out and take out the bobbin. It has a stationary bobbin case with a front drop-in bobbin. You just drop it right in there. And that is a class 66 bobbin. And it can take metal or plastic. The throat plate or needle plate is held in position over here by a spring-loaded pin. And to remove the plate or change it, you simply lift up on the right-hand side and slide it from under that pin. And to put it back in, you just do the opposite. Go in at a little angle, get it under that spring-loaded pin, push it to the left, and drop it on the retaining post that's on the right. This can do lock stitch, has a drop feed and link take-up. The actual feed doesn't drop, but it came with a plate that went underneath the needle plate and raised the needle or throat plate up above the feed dog. So they call it drop feed, but it's really raised needle plate. Coming over to the front here on the control panel area, you'll see the bike control lever. It's right on the front and in direct view of the operator. The lever controls the width of zigzag or ornamental stitch from 0 up to 4 millimeters. So when you straight stitch, you go all the way to the left, 0, and there's a little up and down arrow right there, supposed to indicate straight. The needle position selector is also on the front in direct view of the operator and allows you to move the position of the needle bar, therefore the needle, to the left of center, into the center, or to the right of center, just by moving that lever. You also see that there is a feed regulator lever. We would call this stitch length, but it really regulates how far the feed dog pulls the fabric in. So that's why Singer called it a feed regulator. We can call it stitch length lever. and it can be adjusted for a maximum of 6 stitches per inch up to the yeah, that would be the longest stitch. What I meant by maximum length stitch, I guess, would be 6 per inch. Up above the 20 area, which would be for very fine 20 stitches per inch, very fine short stitch. And if you went into your zigzag, that's how you would get your satin stitch. It has a reverse by going all the way up, and it's adjustable reverse. Once you hit the 0 point as you go up, it's going to make a short reverse stitch, and the farther you go, it's going to make a longer and longer reverse stitch up to the matching 6 stitches per inch in forward. It has a semi-automatic bobbin winder here, where you would put your bobbin on the bobbin spindle here. Come on out, you. Oh, let's see if I can grab another one here. Okay, well, that was clumsy, sorry. So you would just put your bobbin on the bobbin spindle, and you would move this lever over, the little thumb lever there, you slide it to the right. In here it's going to make contact with the friction ring to the hand wheel, and that's how you'd wind your bobbin. The bed itself is very standard for a lot of singers of the era. It is 16.5 inches long and 7 inches wide. The working space to the right of the needle, it's called the working space, is 7 1/8 inches long. It's got a pretty good size harp area here to work with. The needle that the 338 takes is called a Catalog 2020, which nowadays is better known as the 15x1 or 15x1, and it threads from the front to back, and you can use a single needle or a double needle for stitching. This machine can take 2 needles, 2 runs of thread, and stitch double rows. And it can do that in straight, zigzag, and many of the specialty stitches. And the specialty stitches come up here. There's a very small cam stack up here for the zigzag, and there is a removable chrome nut that holds the specialty disc in place. And the machine would come with, of course, the zigzag specialty disc in place, and these are very flat, compact discs, not like the top hat discs of the 401 and 500, 600, 700. So by changing out these discs, you would get your specialty patterns. I'll talk at a later time about what came with the machine. The Needlebar Stroke, how high that needle bar goes up and down, it's got a pretty good stroke. It's 1.183 inches. And the presser foot bar lift height is set between 0.290 to 0.300 inches high. The maximum speed of this machine is factory rated to be at least not less than 900 revolutions per minute. Okay. Now it came with a variety. It came with, I don't know, 8 or 9. I think this a zigzag disc, and I think about 8 others. But there is a total of 31 fashion discs that come with it, or could be bought extra. Up on the top here, the other spool pin can be placed over here if you want to dual needle, double needle sew. Up on the front end, as you may have seen many of these before, this is the adjustment thumb screw for the pressure of the presser bar. How much pressure you want it down here on your fabric. This is a top thread guide, and that's going to bring us to the needle thread tension unit. It's numerically calibrated from 0 to 9. It has 3 discs for tension. So if you wanted to double needle sew and you had double needle threads through here, you would have 2 spaces between 3 discs. It also has a thread guide on the front and more thread guides down on the needle bar and the needle holder. You have your thread take up lever right there. When you are winding the bobbin, this is the bobbin winder thread tension disc. Puts the right amount of tension on the thread going up to the spindle for when you wind the bobbin. On the end of the machine here, it has the very typical vintage sewing machine stop motion nut that you hold the wheel and turn left, and that stops motion to the feed dogs and needle bar. So when you wind the bobbin, you only have the hand wheel spinning to turn the bobbin spindle on the bobbin winder. And it takes a double lead cord that plugs in right here on the side. It's one lead comes from the electrical outlet at the wall, and the other lead then continues on to the foot controller or foot pedal, and it just plugs securely in just like that. This machine has the correct holes in the back. It can be mounted on hinges in a drop-down cabinet. And if you did want to do that, there is a vinyl matching colored removable gasket here that allows you to put the cord to the foot pedal in there, so that when you fold the machine down in the cabinet, it doesn't get pinched on the side. We'll bring you around the back here. This is the presser bar lifter lever right there. It's a nice chrome plated steel lever. These are the 2 holes for the hinges I mentioned before. There's the backside view of the presser bar pressure adjustment knob. That's how it looks when the hinge is open from the back. We continue around here. Get a view from the front. It is a straight shank low shank system. So it's not like the 301, 401, 404, 500, 503. That this did not have a slant shank. And the reason that these fashion discs are flat like that, even though the top hat discs had been around for 5 or 6 years, was because this particular line of the machine didn't have the big cam stack and enough room. This was a more compact machine, and you could get it with a matching jade green or green blue case. So this was considered a machine that could be portable or table mounted. And give you a little better shot maybe before we go. I told you that's the retaining nut for the fashion discs. Let's see if I can give you a better shot up in there. That's the zigzag fashion disc that came with it, installed from the factory. And here you can see the small cam stack that holds it. And there's followers and actuators in there, like any cam system. So when the cam rotated, those followers would come along and travel on these raised areas, and that's what would make your swing needle move back and forth in the pattern designed by the cam. So that is a tour of the features on the Singer Model 338. Now I plan to do a tour of the inside workings of the machine, and I plan to show all the accessories that come with it, and I will show how to wind the bobbin, how to thread the needle, and do a little sewing. This will all be in future videos. So thank you so much for watching Andy Tube and the feature tour of the Singer Model 338, and I'll see you back here in the future for bobbin winding and needle threading. And a lot of you may be very interested of the tour of the inside mechanisms, especially on the bottom. It's a little bit different than any of the others you've seen in a lot of my videos. Come back and see me. Thanks for watching. Take care.